everybody, another Arcade Talk and Star Wars review coming at you. Hopefully you're having a great morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you're at in the world. Hopefully you're having a great one. And please smash that like button to help the video out. Okay guys, today I'm going to do the install video of installing Mod 1Up's new waterfall control deck for Pac-Man. I'm going to do that today. Let's go over to my Pac-Man machine behind me and let's get started. Okay, so we're over here in my Pac-Man machine and I want to take this one off. So make sure you take off your 4 screws. I already took mine off. And then you got to take the knob off here to get your plastic off here. Make sure you take your black thing off as well. And you get this piece of plastic. The funny thing, this piece of plastic, this is my first machine I ever had, and I didn't realize that they put that plastic cover sleeve, you know, that kind of protects the plastic in shipping. I didn't realize they put it on the top and bottom. I still have the bottom, that plastic film on there. That's why it's not a perfect black. Never do that until preparing for this video. Okay, so once you get that off, looks actually pretty nice. I'm not used to seeing this per black. And make sure you take this cord off before you yank off your control deck. And that's it. That's all you have to do. 1 wire there, and then 4 screws, and then take your bolt top off. And that's it. One thing I did want people to know is, I'll set this down for a second. This piece here in front, you can keep that on or you can take it off, because this new water control deck actually takes place of that piece completely. I think the thing is down there firm. As you see, this waterfall control deck goes all the way down to the yellow piece. That black piece is not exposed at all. So you can keep it on there if you want, or you can take it off. I'm going to take it off. There's no need for it to be on there. And all you have to do is take this 1 screw out. That's right here. This is the only one you have to remove to get this panel off. And once you do that, you just pull the side off a little bit. Boom. It's out. So it's just that 1 little screw you got to unscrew to get this piece out. Like I said, you don't really need it anymore. Just to prove it to you, put this control deck on here. Nice and firm on there. I think it goes like that, yeah. It'll be locked down like that. And as you can see, you cannot see, there's no gap. I can't even get my finger in there. If I push on it, I would, because this wood's pretty crappy. But remember to screw this screw back in as well. I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Go ahead and screw this back in here. That's in. So that's back in there nice and flush. So I'm going to take, you see I'm back over at my desk, and I got the old control deck right here. So you got to take out these screws to take this cover off. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 screws on this one. And there's 3 down here. So you just got to take those 3 out. You can use a small screwdriver if you're scared. I'm just going to go ahead and use my power. So here, you'll back your screws. Get this all out. And you can put this cover back on, or you can keep it off. It's totally up to you. I'm probably going to put the cover back on. Okay, so we got the thing off. And like I said, this one's pretty easy. So all we got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons, 1 joystick, and then we got our PCB board, and then the on and off and volume down here. So this one's a pretty easy one to do. So you just take off for the joystick, you just take off these 4 screws. In the wiring, you do not have to take the wires off the PCB board. Don't make things hard on you, because this will just transfer right into the new one. So you could take the wires off the buttons because you're going to replace those, but keep the wires on the joystick and on the PCB board. That way it makes it a lot easier when you reinstall it into the new one. So do as least as you can do. And a lot of these should be marked. And if you want, you can get some tape and put player 1, player 2, you know, like the fire button, and then your 2 extra buttons over here. You can mark those. Like this one here is somewhat easy because you got white for player 1, red for player 2, blue for your fire button, and then you got red over here again for your one extra button, and then white again on your other one. So I mean, this one's pretty standard. Okay, so next is to take, I'm going to go ahead and do the joystick first, just because the joystick makes this thing lopsided. Okay, 4 screws out. And a lot of times too is this stuff is held down with glue. Yep, and this is definitely held down by glue. Ridiculously glued down. Okay, that's one way to do it. Here's the back of the screwdriver. Yeah, they had every hole they had glue on. So stupid. You know, you use screws, you don't really need glue, but that's what Arcade 1Up does. Alright, so the joystick's off. So now I got the boards pretty much flat. I can take off the 2 screws for the PCB board. I'm going to use my little screwdriver for this because I do not want to crack the board or anything. And it should get 2 screws on the PCB board. That's exactly what it is. Sometimes a little hard to get started, but pretty easy. Okay, so the PCB board is off, and so now you got this bracket underneath here where the volume and on off are. And that thing will probably be glued down too, but there are 3 screws you got to remove. This one here I'm going to go ahead and use. This one was not glued down. Nice. So remove these 3 screws. Okay, so the bracket's off. Oh, there's a little bit of glue on there. That came pretty off. And then don't forget you got to take these off for your volume on and off. And it doesn't matter which one. They're both the same. So that was not glued down that bad at all. It seemed like this one piece was glued down. Okay, then the other hard thing is to get this. You do need these little frame brackets, and these are going to be glued in as well. But if you just take your time and use a razor and scar it around it, it should pop off. Normally all you have to do is really scar. There's like 2 clips on the top and the bottom. Those are the ones you really have to scar. Once you get those broke free, they should just pop right out. I think I already got that one. Got that one too, I think. Yep. Boom. There was not much glue on that frame bracket. So there's that one. I don't think these have any glue in them. Popped right out, nice. Second one out, boom. And those you just snap right back into your new holes. Okay, so now I got everything taken apart. All you have to do is take the wires off the buttons, the 5 buttons, and I'm done. And I can transfer everything over here. And if you're not gonna replace the buttons, you don't have to take the wires off. One reason why you have to take the wires off is if we're gonna actually replace the buttons. I recommend replacing the buttons. Okay, see these little tabs right here? There's one on each side. Once you push those in, those pretty much are broken. You stretch the plastic and they'll somewhat hold back in, but they're not real sturdy. So that's why I recommend replacing these buttons. And the buttons that Mod 1Up gives you, I think it's $13 they charge. These are nice buttons. And the nice thing about these, they're held in by a washer. And these washers you can take on and off anytime you want. You don't destroy the button at all. So that is really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these wires on these buttons because I'm going to replace the buttons and go from there. One thing I just thought of, you'll have to redo it again yourself, but if you want to, if you're worried about you're going to mess up the buttons, just go ahead and remove these things and then put it right onto a button. Like I said, you'll have to remove these wires again, but you could do it individually, and then you'll have to worry about messing up. So here's my player 2. Go ahead and do player 1. Okay, sometimes these little wires are hard to get off. Just get those pair of pliers, and normally you can just kind of grab onto them. Don't squeeze real hard, and just pull straight. Maybe wiggle a little bit. It should come off. go. Player 1, player 2. I'm going to use, they gave me that yellow button. All the other buttons are white. I'm going to use this yellow button as the fire button. Sometimes it'll get off. Okay. And the fire button, now I got 2 extra buttons. Okay, one button. Just came up really easy. And if you break one of these wires, it's not the end of the world. You can buy replacement wires for any of these. We're pretty much done. I can take this stuff over to the new one and swap it out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put these frames back in. It doesn't matter which one they go to. They're exactly the same. So you just kind of like push it in there and they snap right in. Boom. Kind of have to put one in and then kind of use your fingernail to snap the other one in. And there you go. There's the frames for on and off and volume. And now is to transfer everything over. And like I said yesterday, if you didn't see my video, cool thing Mod 1Up did is they redid the button layout. So before on Arcade 1Up, 1 player and 2 player were right here. You know, the fire button was like right here. And the other 2 buttons were like right here. This is exactly like the real arcade Pac-Man Control Deck. This was here on Pac-Man Control Deck, and then 1 player and 2 player were over here. So they actually redesigned it to make it look like the real arcade Pac-Man. Only thing I wish they didn't do is put this red line that was supposed to look like T-molding. That is just something Arcade 1Up did. The real Pac-Man did not have that. So, but if you don't like that, you could always cover that up with another piece of vinyl. What you could do actually is, if you wanted to, you can cut off a piece back here, zip it off, unpeel it, and it should stick back over top of that. You might have to use a little bit of glue to keep it down, but you can do that, or you can use some electrical tape or something if you don't like it. I don't mind it. So I like how they remapped the buttons, 1 player and 2 player back where it's supposed to be, and then they kind of put the buttons up here. And the fire button up here is not too bad, because this is the fire button, and these are the other 2 extra buttons for the other games that come on the 12-in-1 Legacy. So I liked how they did that. I like how it looks more like the real thing. Okay, so now I can go ahead and, oh, don't forget to put these on. These go on next. It doesn't matter which way they go, up or down. Put those on like that. And then when you do the new one, you just kind of have to make sure, can you see these little black buttons right here? They got to make sure they go inside. There's like 2 holes. They just have to, make sure they're in there. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm just going to transfer everything over. I'm going to try to keep the layout like it is because I know what buttons are which buttons. So I'm just going to just pop it over here like this. I still got my player 1, player 2. I know what my fire button is. I'm going to go ahead and put the PCB board in place. I think it'll make it a little easier. Make sure you do not pinch any wires. So at least on mine, this piece here, make sure these 2 little prongs are down here, not up here. Make sure it is correct. They do have tap holes for this little bracket. So it's right in. Put those 3 in. And then there were just 2 screws on this one, on the PCB board. Sometimes they do 3, but this time here they just did 2. So this is where I'm going to use a little screwdriver, because I don't want to crack the board. For the board, you just screw it down till it's a little snug. You feel a little catch, stop. Do not over tighten. Okay, so there are just 2 screws there. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and do my buttons. So all I have left is my buttons and joysticks and I'm done. Okay, so, and I'm gonna do these buttons one at a time, just so I know. I think I'm gonna have to pull these wires out of here. Player 1 and player 2. Okay, I'm gonna flip this up. All right, so I'm gonna go and start with my player 1. These ones should come off really easy. I'll go ahead and just stick it in there like that. And then you just use these little washers to hold them down. Just by experience, make sure you would want these prongs that you plug back into the wires, make sure they're closest to the PCB board. It just makes it easier, especially when you get these ones that are out here. And I put my player 1 in the wrong spot, right in my dreams. That's just the way, just in case some of the wires don't reach. So it makes it, a little shorter distance. Okay. Player 1, plug the wires back in. Okay, take my player 2 button. And these nuts, whatever, all you have to do is hand tighten them. And they'll stay nice and snug. You really don't want to use a wrench or anything because you could take a chance of really cracking them. See, like this wire here barely reaches. Okay, got those on. Go ahead and do my fire button here, my yellow button. Let's go here. Ooh, boy, oh boy. We got this fire button pretty close to the PCB board. Boy, that fire button just barely fits underneath. Show you here. This button right here, this is the fire button. Look how it just gets underneath that PCB board. There's just enough room. What I did was, with the washer, I kind of pushed the button out a little ways to get the washer underneath this PCB board. And then threaded it in, it was okay. But yeah, that's pretty tight there. It does not hit the board. Plug in the blue wires here to the fire button. Okay, the next one is red. Okay, and then last one is the white button. White wires. Okay, all the buttons are in. There it is. There's the back. You can see they're all secured. They're all wired up. Looks pretty nice. And I just got to do the joystick. Arrow up. That arrow should be up. Should be facing up towards the top of the control deck like that. As long as the arcade 1UP did it correctly. And for some reason, they did not do the holes on this one. See, there's a niche down there in the control deck itself. These the ends should kind of place right into there on the bottom and top. So at least it's correct position. It fits right in there, pretty nice. So then you just put the 4 screws back in there. Okay, there you go. Okay, so if you're wondering which holes on the joystick you should put the screws back in on, if you don't remember, let's see if I can. You have a smaller hole right here, and then you got a little bigger one right here. That's the one it goes into right there. And then the other one goes in this slide one right here. And the same thing on the bottom one. You got the little bigger hole here, and then you got the slide one that you put in right there. So those are the 4 that you put them in. In case you forgot. So let's try to get these things in here, and we're pretty much done. I don't recommend putting the screw all the way down first. Get all your screws in first, and then tighten them down once you get them all 4 in there. In case it slides on you. These are going in pretty easy, even though they didn't have tap holes. Okay, I got all 4 in there, so I'll tighten them all down. Nice and secured. Okay, so I got everything in. Everything's tight. Everything's in. We're good to go. If you didn't know either, this is a 4-way, 8-way joystick. So if you wanted to do an A-B switch to make it 4-way to 8-way, you could actually put one on there, because this is the gateway that changes to a 4-way or to an 8-way. Right now it's a diamond shape, so it means it's the 4-way. And if you took this yellow bracket off and switched it around, it would make it a square. So they do have an actual joystick that you can switch around, which is kind of nice. I didn't realize that. Okay, so there it is, guys. Got the joystick back in there. We got our new buttons. So we should be good to go. I kind of like the yellow button here. I know it should be white, but I like it just because it knows that's the select button and that's your fire button, right? So we're all wired up. Now we can just throw this bad boy into the machine, and don't screw the control deck down in case you messed up on some of the wirings. You don't want to have to keep unscrewing and screwing the control board back in. And I don't recommend putting a cover on the back on until you make sure all stuff is wired right and works correctly, because the pain in the ass keeps taking the cover off and unscrewing the control deck. And on these two, I noticed they have on the top where you screw the control deck back onto the machine, they have two. Must be for different versions. So make sure you know which hole to put it in, the top one or the bottom one. So let's go back over to the machine and let's put this bad boy back on. Let's see if we got it working. The thing I forgot to do is put the black thing dust cover back on. If you don't know which one it is, it's the rough side that faces up. Has like a little pattern to it. And you just put your ball top back on, because we don't need that yucky, nasty looking plastic cover anymore. Okay, so we got everything on. You just have to plug this control deck in and turn this bad boy on. Okay, just have to plug in the one cord. Back. Set that bad boy on there. I think that's pretty good. So it's on. Look at that, man. It looks so nice. Look at that. And that Pac-Man looks really sharp, guys. Okay, so let's turn this thing on. Good news, we got lights. That's pretty sharp, guys. I really like this, because like I said, this is like the real control deck, where you had to design over here, and then you had the 1-2 player over here. And of course you need these for the other games, so yeah, I really like that. Pretty sharp looking, man. There's the front. Got rid of this little piece of poos board in that plastic. Looks really nice up there. Only thing I wish they didn't have was this red line, but like I said, it doesn't bother me, and there's ways to get rid of that. Okay. Joystick works. So I think on this one here, you hit I think it's this button. Okay, and then player one, I do believe. Yeah, okay, so it's working, guys. All right, so I got them all wired in correctly. Everything seems to be working. Should give me 2 credits. Yep. This one will give me 1. Joystick's working. Can't remember what button you hold. It's player 1. Okay, player 1 to get back to main screen. Let's go ahead and hit that. Player 1. There we go. And then, yep, 1 credit for player 1. Let's see if the power button works. Which is the yellow one. Yes. Okay, guys, we're good to go. As you see, hitting the fire button, it's shooting. So yeah, so success. All right, so now I can put the cover back on the back and put the 4 screws to secure the control deck. So I'll go back over to the desk real quick and let's put that back cover back on. Okay, back over to the desk. Gonna put the cover back on. since it was a success. And this cover here, once again, this does not have the pre-drilled holes, but you know it's secure because you got to make sure this power cord plug-in is visible. So once you have that centered in there, you can go ahead and start putting those little screws in. Okay, so those are in there. I'm not even going to try to put the other 3 on there because those 3 are going to be a pain in the butt. It's secure. If you want it more secure, you probably put some glue down there, but it's good enough for me. I got them in there. So let's go install this sucker. Back over to the machine. Okay, back over to the machine. All we have to do is put the screws back in. Doesn't look like they punched the holes out for these screws. Just get a little razor, just tap it in there just to break it. I forgot the bag of goodies they give you. They do give you 4 new screws and they're black. And they actually got a little washer on them. So it makes it look a little nice, especially with this black control deck. And they give you a sticker. And then you just take the screw right here in this little washer thing. Just thread it through there. And boom. Gives you a nice little looking cap. And if you did anything when you punch the hole in your vinyl, that little washer will hide anything. You don't have to go tight just until it's snug again. And I always do my front ones first, just because if you get these 2 in, the other 2 should be easy. Because sometimes it's a pain to do the top ones first. Okay, bottom 2 are in. There's 2 holes. I think it's the very top one if you have the same one as me. I'll be the guinea pig. Moment of truth. Yep, it was the top one. There you go, guys. All done. Secure. You see, I can't reach it. It's all in there. It's nice and snug. Okay, there you go, guys. There it is. As you can see down below, there's no gap. Like I said, I took this board off, and there's no gap. You can't even feel where the top of this yellow piece. So, pretty cool. Looks really nice. Look at that vinyl, guys. No more plastic sleeve for me. And you got these nice black screws that they blend right in. You can't really see them. I'm having a hard time picking them up on the camera myself. But yeah, it's nice that they use the black. Fits in there nice. Oh, and one thing, don't forget, if you unscrewed this screw, don't forget to tighten it in. This one was an easy one to do because I only had 5 buttons, 1 joystick. But yeah, look at that. Look at that. Look at that art on there, guys. It looks great. I like the new button layout, I really do. And this button being up here instead of down here, it doesn't bother me at all. Because it's really not moved that much more than where it was before. So yeah, it's great. No more plastic cover for me, suckers. So I do recommend it. I think it's $125 for this control deck. You don't have to get the new buttons, but if you do, they're $13. If you want a replacement vinyl, which I don't really recommend, I think they're 35 bucks. Because I haven't had one wore out yet. One of my Dragon's Lair I've had for a year now and hasn't worn out at all. So, but they are better buttons than Arcade 1-Up. Listen, here's this button, and here's Arcade 1-Up buttons. Big difference. They have more spring to them. They're not as loud. See, and then you go. They're definitely better buttons. There you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up for me. I appreciate it. New to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and turn that bell on. And I thank you in advance. Until the next video, I will see ya.